Justin,
What's up, brother?
let's talk about porn.
Let's do it.
How many times a day?
Gigs on the track.
Welcome to the Common Podcast, where we speak upon common sense and realize it really isn't that common. Guys, we have an extremely vulnerable topic today, as you can tell by the title. I know that y'all are going to enjoy this, and I'm just very excited to unfold everything that we have to talk about on this topic. But before we continue, you already know the fee for today's video is to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave down in the comment sections what you thought about this discussion and what you think we should talk about in the next podcast. Also, guys, as you can see, show you guys up front, we are coming out with some merch. Bam. Bam. Okay, we're coming up with a new design, a revamp. So whenever that comes out, we will be selling some merchandise. So if y'all are interested, leave it down in the comment section below. We're setting up a website, and all that will be up very, very soon. But without further ado, Justin,
What's up, brother?
let's talk about porn.
Let's do it.
How many times a day? Don't answer that. No, so we're going to be talking about porn today. And this is an extremely vulnerable topic. I think people, even on a one-on-one conversation, don't feel comfortable about talking about this. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's a taboo topic to
For
talk
sure.
about.
Taboo to the
for some
fullest.
people.
Yeah. For most, I mean, unless you're extremely close to the person, you're not going to want to be talking about this topic whatsoever. But yeah, first, before we get into our self-experience with porn, kind of like how we discovered it, how it's affected our lives, before we get into our self-testimony on porn, let's talk about what porn is a little bit, right? So what is porn? What does porn mean for you? Like, if you were to just sum it all up.
It is intercourse.
That's what
Explicit video or image intercourse between
Image intercourse.
two people or more people, depending on what they're into. Yeah.
I think there's like a wide because there's like categories of soft porn now, which is basically like you can get that on Netflix. You can get that on
Well, there's more on Netflix.
any ads.
They've gone past the softcore part.
Yeah, I know. I know. I started watching Netflix a couple months ago. I'm not too big on watching television, you know that. But like, yeah, I've seen shows that like show basically everything, and it's pretty insane that. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But porn to this day is more accessible than ever, and it will continue to get that way. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Like, it's just gonna continue to get more intense. It's gonna continue to get more available to the day-to-day person. I mean, now you don't even have to look for it. It actually comes to you. I mean, I don't know how many. Do you get those fake friend requests on social media?
Yeah.
Whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I get them all the time. I want to say a minimum of 4 to 5 every single month, where I get an ad and I'm like clicking on it to see if I know them, and they're basically naked women. Majority of the time, basically, and sometimes you'll get, vice versa, you'll get basically naked men too. But think about it, that has to be scary, especially for a parent nowadays. That, I mean, their kids are on electronics basically 24/7.
Yeah, I think it's at a point to where parents are not, it doesn't matter how strict you are as a parent.
Yeah.
Now you have to make the adjustment of trying to keep it away from a child. Because at the end of the day, we can all say that, us as adults, for some people it might not feel or be as harmful. Let's just go ahead and make that statement now to them.
mature,
Exactly, sure. But it does cause damage to a child. It really does. And so I think now parenting has turned from how do we just keep the child from seeing it, to now how do we have a conversation to try to have and hope our child is mature to where when they do face adversity, that they can.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, if porn can ruin marriages, what can you do to kids?
Right.
Like it's already starting them off very young.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think, in a parenting standpoint, do you think now, since it's very unavoidable, do you think you educate your kid rather than
1 million. Yeah. Yes.
right?
Yes.
That's what I think. I
Yes.
think that, hey, listen, like let's expose it. Like where as a parent, I now have control of what I can tell my kid what porn is.
So there's a somewhere off in like Switzerland or Europe or somewhere. I watched a whole documentary on this, on like America versus outside of the world when it comes to porn.
Yeah.
And there's some schools out there in this particular country. I think it's somewhere in Europe. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Long story short, these kids are taught from kindergarten, like I mean 5-6 years old, what sex is. They're completely comfortable talking about the penis, the vagina, just like all male and female reproductive organs and things like that. And by the time that they start to hit puberty, nobody cares to have it's all a norm. It's when people stop making it taboo and something like a hush hush and like a giggly haha, don't talk about that.
Yeah.
That's when people are interested to see what it's about, and it's made a norm since before they even get to the first grade. And so they've seen a success rate of less teen pregnancy, less porn views, like all of that. Now it still affects, well, porn still affects that, so they're not perfect.
Yeah.
Nobody is, but they've seen a amazingly decreased rate of teen pregnancy and porn watching and viewing and downloads and all of that, as in comparison to like us, where we
You think
keep
that's
it
because
taboo.
it's not as spontaneous, because it's something that's not taboo? Because people tend to like want to do stuff because they necessarily aren't supposed to.
Right.
Now that it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
if you make it
A
not
norm.
available,
A
but like
norm.
if you make it a point to like educate and
Mm-hmm.
let it be known to an individual, they're probably going to be less intrigued to do it. I don't know. Maybe that could be the case.
Mm-hmm. Well, just in South America, Central America, I don't, somewhere below us, they the drug trafficking was so intense and so insane that country, like they were basically being taken over by the cartel.
Okay.
What they did to essentially fight back without fighting back was made like cocaine legal.
Oh.
And all of a sudden the crime rate dropped, the
Oh.
users dropped, all of
Yeah.
that. So when you like normalize it and be like, all right, fine, have it, they saw a decrease in the amount of actual purchasing, the crime, all of that.
That makes
was,
sense.
super interesting to listen to. And I think porn can be similar to the same way. At least sex. I wouldn't say porn, but sex.
Yeah, well, so funny thing, I did some research and it said that porn it stimulates dopamine, which it kind of confused me in the beginning, because it's like I understand sex stimulating dopamine, but just watching. So I did a little bit more studies on it, and it turns out that just watching it stimulates a
Yeah,
dopamine.
because you need those hormones, those specific type of hormones to get you going to be able to actually.
Yeah, but without even like, let's just be straight up. Without even touching yourself, people get a kick off of it.
Yeah.
They're just it's exciting. It gives you that high, and it's equivalent now. Like we can put it in the same realm as alcohol. We can put it in the same realm as drugs. Any of these things that can become addiction, because if it has a correlation to dopamine, you're gonna be addicted to that high.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a natural chemical brain altering type of drug, but yes, I would put it in the same category
For sure,
because
which-
that's how people get addicted.
Exactly. That's what makes, and we'll get into addiction later on this show, but that's what makes it so addicting, is that excitement, that feeling inside that it gives you that everybody wants.
Yeah.
Right. And so because porn is so accessible now, they're like, oh, well, I want this high all the time. Well, let me just pull up porn.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It's a lot easier than drugs. I
Right.
mean, they might be doing both. Right. But like, porn is just a lot easier to get.
Right.
You won't go to jail for it.
Yeah.
Maybe. Do people go to jail for like watching child porn?
Yes.
They do?
Yes.
Does it matter what position? Like
No.
what job they have? Or it's like
Oh
any-
no.
No, not what I meant. Not what I meant.
Damn, Roger. God. No. No, it
Like
doesn't.
job. What does it matter what job position they
No,
hold?
I'm sure people with money might be able to get away with it a little bit easier. Wait, like you're saying like a CEO or
Like if you work for the government, you get caught with child pornography, you will obviously lose your
if
job.
it goes local, yeah, they have no choice. If they find a way to keep it private, people up there, a lot of government officials in any country can be a little corrupt. So I
so
think
my question is, if like you or I were to be
immediate
watching-
offense, FBI is involved. They keep eye on that.
So
They-
why is that even a thing?
Well, because
Like, why doesn't FBI go for the distributor?
well, there's so many, because the only way that they're able to track it is because the child porn is released on the dark web.
Okay.
So there's no, it's hard to track and
Gotcha.
things like that. And God, I can't remember the Thorn. So Ashton Kutcher, I don't know if you know who Ashton Kutcher is.
I do
but,
know who
okay,
Ashton
you know who Ashton Kutcher is. Okay. So Ashton Kutcher started a foundation called Thorn,
Okay.
where he basically works with the FBI and along with his team to track down child predators and not just people being trafficked,
Yeah.
but specifically children that are being trafficked.
Okay.
Because another thing that what I learned from Ashton Kutcher talking is that a lot of when all of this started and them trying to knock down human trafficking and all of that, immediately you think of like human slaves and people who were forced into the just like children. Well, what a lot of the problems that they came across was that FBI, agents were running into people who were prostitutes who were choosing to be prostitutes to be able to put food on the table. So when Thorn came in, they said, okay, well, this is going to be too much of a cross up. I want to go after the kids. Let's get these kids out of here. So they specifically are looking for child trafficking, basically. So,
Gotcha.
but yeah, it's uploaded to the dark web. It's very, very, very hard to trace.
So that's why it's out there, but it is against the law to watch child
yes,
pornography.
1 trillion%. Yes.
I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
So, and it's a little bit more statistics. 30% of all internet downloads is porn. So that's
30%
like
downloads.
all internet downloads. I don't know why people are downloading porn.
I already talked about
their
it.
phone,
Yeah,
yeah.
I just already told you that. Why are people?
Downloading porn.
Yeah, why are people downloading porn? Because even if you're into it, you could just
pull up the web.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I mean, maybe if you really, really.
So I'm wondering what falls in this category.
You liked the role play that happened, so maybe you just
save it for later.
Yeah.
Or I'm thinking what falls in the category of porn when you're talking about downloads. Is it any picture?
Oh no. So
does it have to be
porn? Is I mean, yeah, it can be picture, it could be video.
Because okay, porn has been here since probably the dawn of time.
It has expanded, my friend.
Yeah. So it's revolutionized, right? But like I'm pretty sure. I mean, there's been porn and lust since the beginning of time.
Yeah, sure.
Right. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Back in,
or just like in the Bible. If you guys don't know, then it's okay. But when David,
oh yeah,
okay.
that when he saw the woman,
the neighbor,
the neighbor,
and
got his homeboy.
That's
killed.
a good video today.
Got it, yeah, exactly. He got his homeboy killed for a piece. But anyways, porn has been around forever, and people have been drawn to it. Sex sells. Sex sells.
Yeah, it does.
It's an addiction, and just like anything else, it's gonna sell. It's gonna grab people's attention. But it goes even a step further to say that 34% of the people that are exposed to pornography they don't even want to be exposed to it. So
that's true.
Yeah. So I that proves my point.
Well, I say this is true. I don't know the number, but yeah.
But that proves my point in the beginning where like you don't even have to look for it anymore. It comes to you in all ways, shape, sizes, and forms. Like it's gonna find you nowadays.
Yeah.
So the challenge now is not trying to not be exposed to it. The challenge now is how to prepare not to
fall into the trap,
basically, and to be addicted, because there's a fine line in addiction.
Yeah, because I mean, I want to make it very clear right now. If you're into porn, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's wrong, and we're not here to sit here and tell you that you're a bad person.
Yeah.
I want to make it very clear that too many people who struggle with it, because I know people that struggle with it, or to children, or to people who have an addictive personality, like it's literally in their genes where they get addicted to things easily. I would like to say that's kind of when you hear us talk about, if it sounds like we're rejecting it, it's because we're coming from that type of heart. But if you're all for it, then I'm all for it. But that's just kind of where we're.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm all for porn. I would.
Okay.
I'm not gonna sit here and condone porn. I'm not gonna sit here and promote it. Like,
That's
if it's
fair.
a good thing.
Sure.
I'm gonna make the stance that porn overall is just a terrible thing. And I'm not gonna say that someone who's addicted to porn is a bad person. I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm not saying I don't love you. I'm not saying that I don't appreciate you as a person, but I would say that porn itself is bad.
Okay.
That's my stance on it.
So was that the last stat? Because I'm ready to dive deep.
You're ready to dive in. You're ready to dive into.
Was that the last one or no?
That is, I believe.
Okay.
Okay, wait, one more.
Okay.
Before we continue, 40 million of Americans visit porn sites on average every single day.
40 million.
40 million.
How many citizens are there in the U.S.?
We have a Jamie now, guys.
We have a Jamie or forgot the dude's Steve. I'm pretty sure that's his name.
Steve. I think everybody watches. I mean, not everybody, but I think one of the most popular one would be Jamie because everybody watches Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
But so we have somebody behind the cameras now who is going to be helping us out, recording that way. Anything behind the scenes, we have somebody to help us out. So, how many people in America are there?
There is 331 billion 651.
We'll just stick with the billion. How much? 300 what?
331 billion.
331 billion people, which is a lot.
That is a lot.
I mean, I would expect there to be more people, to be honest. 40 million out of 331 billion.
Statistically, that you're like, oh. Well.
I mean, these are the people that have admitted, right? I mean, because
no, if what is it though? Do they download or what's the stat?
Visit.
Okay, then no, that's because they
can track that.
They can track. that. Yeah.
They can track that. That is very true. But okay, so porn sites, but this is not to say that people don't look up nudity.
Yeah.
This is porn sites, strictly porn sites, 40 million people, which I thought would be a lot more considering there is 331 billion people in America. That's the last stat. Let's talk a little bit about.
Wait, I got the number wrong actually.
You got
331 million.
That makes more sense.
I was like, hold up.
I was like 331 billion?
Yeah. Our Jamie was wrong on his first job.
That'll be a $35 charge, my friend.
So 331 million, that makes a lot more sense. And the ratio is...
I was about to be like, oh, we don't have to talk about porn anymore.
Yeah, I was like, dang. Never mind, guys. It's not
a problem.
It's not that
Let's
much of a problem.
talk about something else.
Yeah. You got yourself muted over there? All right, cool. So let's talk a little bit about us, about our self-testimony when it comes, and our experiences when it comes to porn. When were you exposed? Do you have like a clear, not date, but like an age, more or less, when you were exposed?
I do.
When was that?
I was 9 years old.
9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That makes,
I was in fourth grade.
Fourth grade. Okay.
Yeah.
That seems, and I'm going to be honest with you, I think a lot of kids nowadays are being exposed probably even younger than that.
What was crazy though is, so like a 9-year-old, I feel like when we were growing up was a lot harder. Like the home computers and like all of that were coming out.
Yeah.
Like the desktops and all of that, they were just getting popular. I feel like around, fourth grade. As far as like having them in homes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you get them at school. You'll get them at
and then
workplaces.
they like the phones. Then
I don't even Razor.
know what. Well, I think they were coming out with the Razor, like the Blueberry.
Yeah, the Blueberry.
And like searching the web, it wasn't the same. Like you couldn't go to a porn site on the like your phone. Like it wasn't the same. You'd have to use like your desktop and stuff.
Sure, I wasn't big on the internet back then.
So I was at a sleepover, and
say his or her name now. Just
right.
kidding.
Let me just blast everyone. I was at a sleepover. And it was one of those, apparently, I don't know if this is still a thing, for people who don't have cable but have cable, like they use the antennas.
Oh, yes.
Okay, apparently there's a certain channel.
Yeah.
You're aware. Okay.
I'm aware.
That if you turn to it at a certain time of night, it would all be softcore from there until like 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. And I remember I got woken up and was like, hey, look at this. And I was like, what am I looking at? It's a 9-year-old. Also, I hit puberty very, very young.
Okay.
So that was at the start of my puberty. And to already be exposed to that, like all of that, I was like, what's going on? Yeah. So also like from coming out a couple episodes ago, you could imagine my confusion when I was like, I'm confused.
Yeah, being bisexual,
Yeah.
getting through puberty very young, not being
Yeah.
exposed to porn.
Yeah.
I would assume that addiction comes shortly after this.
Yes and no.
Yes.
So like it wasn't something that was like I didn't need it, but
Well, let's talk about what addiction is. Addiction
Okay.
there's a fine line when it comes to addiction, and
Yeah.
it starts to interrupt your daily life.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
when it becomes a need and no longer like a want or
Yeah, when it's a pastime, I mean that's not so much of addiction, but when it starts to interrupt like your sleeping schedule, when it
Yeah.
starts to interrupt your work schedule, when it starts to interrupt your chores and the things that you need to do at the house, that's when I think interruption is the fine line between addiction and not. So would you say you were ever like addicted in that sense?
No, I would say that anytime that I saw an opportunity that I could watch it, I would. But it wasn't something that I ever needed. I think that I do have an addictive personality, but more so about a physical feeling than so like a hormonal like watching porn, and we can go like into this more, but like watching porn, it stimulates some hormones and all of that. I've done drugs in high school, and I did the drinking and all of that in college and stuff. And so to me, that was more of a stimulant. To me, I told myself, well, this is scary because it makes me physically feel good. And I feel like that's where my addictive mindset is. So I was all about the feeling. So if it couldn't make me physically feel good, and like, I'm not afraid to say it, but like masturbation, I was more addicted to that for a while, up until I like actually started having girlfriends and then started going crazy with the sex. I was more so interested in that part than I was of actually like pertaining to an image. So, and guys are very visual. Like I didn't need to have that in my head to be able, or like to be seeing it. I mean, it made it more fun maybe sometimes to have it, but no, I was never really like, yeah, you know what? No, I have to watch this today. Or
Yeah.
like, because a lot of people who are addicted will not even need to touch themselves and just watch a full 2 hours of it and then just go to sleep.
I hate that your answer was like that, just for the simple fact that I'm on that same boat.
Okay.
And I really didn't want that to happen. This is yeah.
Porn and sex is great. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's like spontaneously, like I wanted it to be like you maybe had a hard time with addiction with porn, and then my answer come in. But it's not the way this works out.
I'm sorry to disappoint.
Everything on here is very true, very
Yeah,
raw.
yeah.
And a lot of these things that we do discuss here on the podcast is we want it to be spontaneous, so we don't talk about it beforehand.
Yeah.
Right.
We want like a real authentic conversation.
Authentic conversation, reacting. All the reactions are real. So I believe that I don't remember a specific age when I was exposed to porn, but it wasn't as young, as near as young as yours.
Okay.
I would say
You were
though,
a kid though. You were a kid.
yes, I was a kid. I would say though, at 5th grade, I did have friends that were already making out with girls, that were already touching girls and stuff like that. Not me.
I already know who you're talking about.
No, you don't.
We went to the same elementary.
Bro, to be fair, I went to all the elementaries in this town.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
But by 5th grade, we were at the same elementary.
Okay.
I know who your 5th grade teacher was.
I'm gonna cut this out right
Okay,
here.
you can
but-
cut that out. I'm sorry.
Okay, now we're back because it's personal. It's not personal, but like we're mentioning school names, and we don't want to mention any like names and anything like that. And anyways, so in 5th grade, I was kind of exposed to like the sex, soft sex, I would say, like
Yeah.
people touching other people. I never did any of that. Honestly, I never did anything like that because I was kind of scared. I don't know why. I hit puberty very late.
Well, you were a child. You had
Yeah.
a child's reaction. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like
I hit puberty very late, so that's the reason why I wasn't so intrigued to any of this stuff very early. I probably hit puberty my 10th grade year.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I was getting made fun of in 4th, 5th grade because my voice was cracking. Like,
Yeah.
Like, 10th grade.
I hit puberty very late. I didn't hit my growth spurt until after graduation. I was like five.
Well, that's normal. They say that like it's like 24, 25 is
Yeah.
the typical like stopping point.
Yeah.
But puberty,
My voice did not change till 10th grade. My hair did not grow on my pits anywhere.
I was kind of a jerk too in high school. I'm glad I did not know you.
No, trust me. Like I said before, I was a little bit of a bully.
We would have bullied each other.
Yeah, for sure. And I was good with verbal warfare. But I do not have a specific age, but I know for sure it was in the middle school range that everybody was talking about porn.
By the way, bullying is not okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, go ahead.
So it was around middle school. I know that for sure because everybody was talking about porn already. And by middle school, everybody was talking about it, and they were mentioning porn stars. They were mentioning like they knew it all, bro.
By
like,
8th grade, all the guys were walking around asking, "Who's your favorite porn star?"
yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, I can tell you who the cast of Harry Potter is, but I don't I don't know. Like, well, good Lord, you're interested in names now? Like, what?
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah, for sure. So it was around middle school. I wouldn't say I was never addicted to it throughout my schooling, like middle school, high school, never. And to be honest with you, I was really in deep with my Christian walk, especially in high school, that I never exposed myself personally. I never went out of my way to go search up pornography. Now here's where it took a turn. After graduation, after my schooling years, I realized that I was very misinformed on the sex side, like educational wise. So like since I lost my virginity late, or not late, but a lot later than a lot of my friends. So I knew that they knew a lot more than what I knew.
Okay, but how were you misinformed?
I guess I wanted to be. Their terminology and everything that they were talking about was a lot higher, so I felt misinformed. So I guess in my heist to kind of catch up,
Oh no.
I started to
Research?
I started to research, and it led me into porn sites, and it led me into all of this stuff. So I don't think that I was ever addicted, but I was very curious, and I wanted to learn everything, all aspects of sex. So just like you said, the imagery never really stimulated me, but the outside, the actual physical of wanting women, that I did become addicted to. But actual porn, I don't think I've ever in my life had an addiction.
That's why I say yes and no, because it was a little mix of both. Because there were several times, I mean, many times that I went out of my way to look for porn.
Yeah.
And just like, whatever, especially I'm in college, my roommate's going to leave. Oh, well, I got the room to myself, but it was always never just because it made the session more fun. But there wasn't the feeling of, because I smoke cigarettes. I'm addicted to cigarettes. I have to have that interrupt my life at some point today.
Gotcha.
But I was never that way with porn. I could never think of a time where I had to have it at any point. I would just because I was all about the feeling. Who cares?
I would say I had some chronic moments in my
Sure,
in
yeah,
my
yeah,
life.
yeah.
I had some chronic moments where I was like, well, I want to figure out this. And it started. I'm gonna be very vulnerable here. It started off with like the commercial stuff, right? And I realized this isn't as real as So it went into the amateur stuff. I was like, let me see how. I was more into the realistic things because I wanted it to be real. I wanted to be educated in this sense, how sex was really gonna be when it came to when I was actually going to perform it.
Yeah.
But
you used it as like a learning lesson.
I did.
But it did kind of turn into something that maybe was unhealthy.
Yes. It was chronic for, little instances, but I never found myself where I have to stop what I'm doing to look it up, or no. But the physicality of like sex and like, I would say masturbation, that was there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But like you said,
naturally.
imagery, like I didn't need the screen. Our imagination is.
And all it took, that one thing that I saw, and that's why it's so dangerous for children to watch, but that one, whatever it is that I saw, episode of some TV show or something of softcore porn.
Yeah.
As a 9-year-old, that stuck with me of exactly what happened even to this day. So like as a guy being very visual people, I just would use that image and be like, all right, I got the point in my head. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Now wanting to like go and view it and all of that. I did that all through high school, but it never to me was an issue. Like I never needed it.
Yeah.
But it did like become unhealthy at some point to where I watch it a lot. Like my, I don't know, probably sophomore year of high school, I think, was where I really, really started to watch it a lot. But then I started to have sex. So my transition immediately went on, and I was like, what do I need porn for?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I think people resort to porn because it's a lot quicker. They don't need to go out of the way. Introverted people that don't really have that in them to go out and talk to people to try to get it. I mean, they're probably going to, they're like, oh, well, it's a lot easier to just, and it might be more spontaneous. People might find actual sex a lot more boring than what they can find online.
And here's the thing. This is where it becomes dangerous. So it is visually pleasing. That is why so many people watch it.
Yeah.
It is visually pleasing. I will say that when I decided to go watch it and have my alone time and masturbate, that like it was visually pleasing when I would go and try to, look it up and look for it. But the reason where the addiction part and the chronic part comes in is because whether masturbation is happening or not, every time that there's, at least, I don't know about women. I don't know. I feel like women are a little bit more on the, not typically, but when it comes to watching porn, I think that they're more so on the visual side. That's why there's a growing rate of women who are watching porn now. But anywhere from a child to an adult, every time that masturbation happens while watching porn, and I only know about I don't know about if you just simply watch it, just watch it. But the chemicals that release in your brain are telling you that anything having to do with down there, that's the only way to completion. That's what gets you happy. That's why in marriages, sex drive goes down. That's why so many people they become addicted, because that's their norm, and everything else is dull.
Yeah.
It's like, to them, they're having steak and lobster every night, and then when they go to actually have sex, it's McDonald's burnt 6-piece chicken McNugget. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Gotcha.
the two completely different entrees.
For sure.
But the brain is telling them, I don't want that. I want this, because this is what makes me feel good. It makes me feel good quicker. And there.
Sure. In my research, actually, there showed a correlation between people that were addicted to porn could relate to erectile dysfunction.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying. So it leads to erectile dysfunction because the only way that a man can get going is by actually viewing. I did in Bible school. This guy, or the professor, told me that he had this couple come up, and he didn't say names for privacy reasons, but just to lead into an example of what it was like, he said that he had a married couple come up and say, we need this sex life changed in us, because the only way that we can actually have sex is if he goes and watches porn in the bathroom for 10 minutes first.
And then them have sex.
And then they can have sex, because that's the only way that he could get going. Yeah, it's super crazy, super intense. But yeah, that's why the chemical altering in the brain isn't just like oh, well, I'm happy. It really affects people. And every time for men that there's an ejaculation, their brain latches onto, I have to have that. That's why sex with a woman without porn and just, or, man on man, woman on woman, that's why it's so powerful, because anytime that there's that completion, your brain latches onto, this is my favorite thing ever when it comes to doing this in both parts.
So you would agree that it is dangerous, especially when it comes to marriage.
So here's the thing. I think, well, when it comes to marriage, yes.
Especially if one is just watching.
Yeah.
Because now the expectation's going up, but this one's staying here. Let's just say for women, because most of the time it's going to be men watching and women, right?
I think it's starting to slowly shift, but at least up until a few years ago, yes, that's how it was.
So we'll just leave it at that. Let's say the man is watching it, and then the woman's not, right?
Yeah.
So now the expectation is always being pushed and raised for the man, and so it's not enough anymore.
Right.
What they were already doing. When the female was like, man, I'm great here. Like, man, we're having spontaneous sex. We're having this and that. But for the man's like, it's not enough. I need you to be hanging backwards from the ceiling. I need you to be, I need you to have some
The
gravity
equivalence
boots.
is like watching this guy driving like a Lamborghini going through traffic and swerving and getting out of the way, and then a huge explosion in the background happens, and then I'm like, oh, I'm inspired to go drive, and then I hop into my 1990 Honda Accord.
And it falls in the same.
You have this huge expectation in your head, and it's just
expectations very dangerous because I mean, you can be blessed and grateful for something, but then you look across the street and you see that somebody else
Grass
just
is
got-
always greener on the other side.
yeah, or at least that's what you think it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But it's never going to be enough. You
Yeah.
see somebody else have like they buy this new, or they buy a new upgrade for their car, for the house, whatever it is, and you're like,
Oh, I want that.
oh, I want that, and what I have isn't so great anymore.
So here's the thing. I think that like porn itself, explicit porn, like the actual porn from start to finish is, to me, I would say, at least from my personal experience, that it is unhealthy. There are studies that are shown, even for people, there's people that I'm sure out there that have never watched porn in their entire life. There's study that show that masturbation is actually healthy. And we also have to come from an aspect outside of, you know, the Bible. Masturbation, it's proven that it is healthy for the body. Now also, like, and I've had conversations with people about, you know, biblically speaking, is masturbation wrong? And this can be a whole nother topic for another day.
Yeah.
But long story short, this friend of mine's answer was, if you can do it without lust in your heart,
exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, So
So-
I've heard that before. If
and
you can
it's-
masturbate without lust,
but
then it's
something like that, and that with an act that is supposed to meant to have some sort of emotion involved, that's I think the gray line. But I think moving back a few more steps, I think if I'm watching a movie with my wife and a sex scene comes up, and it's not that explicit stuff, and it's not something that I struggle with, and it's not something that my wife struggles with, and we can watch it and appreciate it for it to be a movie, and it to be, it's not, then I think, we got into a real big conversation debate in Bible class, or a Bible class.
Yeah.
I think it was a marriage and family class, actually. And this guy is was a good friend of mine. We still keep in touch, but he said that if you can't listen to music, rap about all the different types of heavy topics that they talk about, or watch a movie that has a few curse words or sex scenes in it, if you can watch that and just appreciate it for the art that it is, and not turn down a path that you're struggling with, then you're okay. Right. But if you're struggling with something, now, if you're religious or not, if you're watching a movie and you see a sex scene come up and it's completely softcore, they don't really show anything, but now you have to go and look up a site, that's when it's an issue. That's when it's a problem. I don't think there's a problem with just sitting down and it coming up, because the minute that you can normalize the fact that those two people are having sex, like, this is a romantic part of the movie, and in 2 minutes they're going to be shooting each other. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see. I think what you're saying is like it all falls down on perspective and maturity,
and knowing self-awareness.
And I'm glad that I'm glad that you brought in music, because that was a great comparison.
Yeah,
because I agree 100% with what you just said. It all has to do with perspective. So you have to know your own heart. You have to know what you're capable of seeing and not seeing, because I mean, if you're watching something, just as much of a touch on the leg can even get you going, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go watch porn. Yeah. So like, you have to learn what you can handle.
And what happens with the addiction part is that, like, when people watch porn, they're like, oh, that's what I want, and that's the lifestyle I want to live. So when you listen to, and I say rap, all types of music, but typically just like what the example that I was always given, especially with some family members of mine, it was like, well, what about my rap music? Because there was always a few songs in there that was just vulgar. I know some rock songs that are like super insane.
There's country songs that are,
if you can't listen to it and envision in your head, or like if you listen to it and envision in your head what they're saying, and all of a sudden it turns into something really crazy, whether it's selling drugs and thinking about how cool that is, or having sex with a bunch of women or whatever, then you probably just need to avoid that and shift into something else.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think there's anything wrong with it coming up, because it's going to come up.
Yeah,
it depends on how you handle it.
There's a very blurry line to what that is, though, like what porn is and what's gonna get you going. Like, I think it all comes down to, you really need to know yourself. I mean, even in my studies and me trying to research porn, I mean, I was searching up porn and like statistics and all that stuff, and then you get the ads, and you get the naked girls, and you get the naked, you know what I mean? You're getting I'm getting all this stuff, but so I know for myself that I will be able to handle that, and I'm just gonna be like, brush it off, continue, and you know what I mean? But someone may not be able to handle that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. They might click that link. They might open another tab and then, search it up. But yeah,
I had different struggles. I think as crazy as it sounds, I think my different struggles allowed me to be away from the porn. I don't because I do have an addictive personality. To me, I found it both visually pleasing and it caused physical pleasure. I think what helped was that as I started to get older and moved away for college, I found myself like obtaining, unfortunately, anxiety and depression and things like that. So because my brain was so warped and wrapped around that, I think it helped keep me distracted from the porn.
gotcha.
Because I mean, as a
So something
20-year-old, I mean, at the end of the day, if I wasn't thinking about how sad I was or about how stressed I was thinking about how like bad I wanted sex. So
Yeah.
like, I think the two triumphs. I think the third one at the end of the day. But there were things that I did where when I did decide that I was going to give up my life to Christ and I was trying to turn from that, there were things that I intentionally did where I'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to tire myself out and not, I would go for a 1-2 mile run or something like that to keep me off. So that way, by the time I got home, I didn't want to do anything but go to sleep,
gotcha.
so things like that. But yeah, I think that's not the case for all people. But I think had it not been for those other two people, I think I would have succumbed to being addicted at some point.
Gotcha.
Because I did watch it a lot. I really did. But I just eventually it faded. So
Got you. I think all in all, for me personally, and I don't want this to come across as like I'm hating on anybody that does have a porn addiction. But for me, it just really didn't do it. It just didn't. I was more for the personal interaction with somebody who I knew. It didn't even have to be someone who I knew well. It's just like it could have been somebody like, I'm not even gonna get into too deep, but like it could just be somebody that I kind of knew or whatever. You know what I mean? That was more attractive to me than it was looking up random people. That's for me. But I understand how it can be addictive to people. I can understand how it can be so intriguing to people. And I do want to make it very clear though that I do not condone it, and I think that if you are addicted, then maybe you should try to find alternatives to try to, for your own sake, try to get away from that.
there are also some people out there that aren't living a religious walk, and okay, cool, but and that find that it's okay and it's not causing any harm. But I do encourage, if you really believe that is perfectly cool. I do encourage you to go and maybe look at some stats on how it does affect the brain, because I am like all for smoking pot for people that want to smoke weed.
That's another topic.
Because I'm all for it. Because there's from my understanding, I just, from what I've seen, it is more damaging to probably watch porn than it is to smoke. And so like that, just to put that in perspective, in the long haul, it is very, very damaging.
I would agree with that.
And it is very, once you go down that roller coaster, if you don't have control of it, it will take control of you. And I can say that from personal experience. So yeah, I just really encourage you to just take the time to like look up and be like, how does it really? Because I mean, the statistics that Roger pulled up today is very minimal compared to the stats that you can probably pull up on porn, and just how great on porn. No stats on porn, just like what we have on porn. It can get very, very crazy and dicey and a little bit scary at some point. But all in all, if you're cool with it, okay. Like we're not here to judge you. We just encourage people who are struggling with it to maybe do little things or take steps, or if anything, find a way to contact one of us if you do need help, or contact me. I love help. I love helping people, trying to, I'm not a therapist by all means, but I would love to hold accountability is a huge thing. And so if you need someone to hold accountable and don't want to talk to someone that because it's a little scary or embarrassing, talk to me and I will gladly try to help you out and walk you guys through this, no matter who you are. So. Yeah.
One thing that I do want to add on to what he just said: do not go to somebody who is also struggling with the same addiction.
Right.
That is the wrong thing to do, and I see so many people do it on and on and on again, especially in people in my life. If they're having relationship problems, they go to somebody else who has commitment issues. If they have issues with drugs or something like that, they'll go because they don't actually want help. They want someone they can relate with them and tell them that it's okay. You know what I mean? So
I wouldn't even say that because I could relate to someone struggling with porn or watching porn, but I think that at that point, if you're going to someone that you're giving yourself permission to fail immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. That's
Yeah,
what
for sure.
you smoke, I smoke. We're both trying to quit.
yeah,
I'm gonna be like, hey man, I'm trying to quit. I'm struggling. You're gonna go, oh man, me too. And I'm gonna go, all right, just one last time.
Yeah,
Just you and me, let's
for
go.
sure.
So
Yeah.
just
I got you.
I wouldn't recommend that for porn, but just cigarettes. Two people. That'd be cool.
All right, guys. I think that's gonna be the end.
That was a great show.
Yeah,
I
I
liked
think
that.
that was a great show as well.
That's good.
Let us know if you're addicted to porn.
Tell me now.
Let us know if you're addicted to porn in the comment section below.
Sure.
No, but let us know if you enjoyed today's discussion. Let us know other vulnerable topics like this. I love
Yes.
to talk about it, and we're gonna keep it real 100 up on here.
Yeah.
But yeah, make sure to leave a like if you have not already. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell if you have not already, so you do not miss any uploads. Check out the Patreon page. Always the first link in the description if you do want to support us in that way. Merch coming very soon. Make sure to get your own. We'll be having different designs, and we're constantly thinking of new things just to push that. But yeah, guys,
Brought to you by Nike. No, I'm just
no,
kidding. No,
definitely not.
Just kidding. That wasn't.
That would be awesome, but definitely not. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time,
See you later, guys.
On the
peace.
track.